Sheri-D Wilson is the award-winning author and creator of 13 books, 4 short films, and 4 albums which combine music and poetry. In 2019, she was appointed one to the Order of Canada for her contributions as a spoken word poet and her leadership in the community. In 2017, she received her Doctor of Letters honoris causa from Kwantlen University. She is Poet Laureate Emeritus of Calgary, 2018 to 2020. A strong advocate for social change and community building, Sheri-D was founder and director of Calgary Spoken Word Society, 2003 to 2021, spoken word program at the Banff Center from 2005 to 2012, amongst a list of other accomplishments. We're very lucky tonight to have Sheri-D Wilson.
Now, I thought I would read this poem to begin. I wrote this poem a year ago. So keeping in mind, I wrote it in April 2020. And it was published in the Calgary Herald to celebrate the ending of my tenure as Poet Laureate of Calgary. I call it Calgaria. And so I wrote this poem, and a lot of the things in the poem have evolved into different things as time, and this time has evolved the wording and the meaning of the words. And so keeping in mind, this was 1 year ago, and how much things have already changed from this poem. I call it Love in the Time of Corona. Our faces have changed, and we don't yet know what we look like as we search for a new way to live and love. We oscillate between paralysis, monotony, and flow. Wonder if we will ever wake from this COVID coma, if we will ever know anything again. Wonder if we will ever be able to dream of trips to far off places, sitting in stands cheering, standing O's for virtuosos, or dancing wild to Motown Live on a Sunday afternoon. Time changed places with space and dissolved, along with the high-paced rat race of our lives. Postponed, indefinitely, canceled. Later is the new now. Resume, push the reset button every time we make an expedition into the outside world. Zone out real, try to keep it real, too real to feel. It's unreal. To tell the truth, it took a pandemic for me to learn to bake a loaf of banana bread. Yes, I found Grandma Nine's recipe, fashioned the facsimile of a loaf pan, the wrong shape, it turned out the right taste. Each bite of banana bread reminded me of her. Each bite brought me closer to the memory of sweeter occasions. A beautiful boon in this time when the only way to touch someone is in their heart. The only way to touch someone is in their heart. To be touched by tenderness, heart to heart. There will always be another ski pass, another hill, another slope, breath of fresh air after the age of asphyxiation and despair is behind us. We wonder, what will become a thing of the past? Maybe we'll become more human as Earth takes a moment to breathe, as the Earth takes a moment to breathe. We wash our hands raw, wear homemade masks, try to learn the perfect distance that might save our own breath, and then one day we might fill that empty space with the beauty of a sunset instead of a pending death. 6 feet above to avoid 6 feet below. One thing's for certain, I had no idea I touched myself so much. hand to hair, sweeping it back, fingers to face, fingers to nose, nose, lips, adjusting glasses, the arid eclipse to remove the sleep from my eyes, from our eyes. Some days I just break down and cry, grieving the life I once had, now gone, along with hugs and kisses, shaking hands, freedoms, and long goodbyes. Or those nights when I wake with a little cough, slight headache, and I think I caught it somehow in isolation and it's the end, and I spend the rest of the night in a cold sweat in a deep tete-a-tete with death. That's when my heart goes out to the people on the front lines, the ones taking care. On those days and after those nights, the only thing that comforts me is a potato. I know it sounds trite, but sometimes the only thing that will lift my spirits is a scalloped potato, spuds. I think of my other grandma, the poet who arrived here from Ireland with 5 cents and the dream of love in her pocket. When she went to spirit, all her writing was lost, scattered to the earth, and all that was left was a locket and a small strand of her hair. Today, I follow her dream and turn to the face of love. Today, as I perform a wedding in this time of social distance, my voice breaks on the front lawn, under the weeping willow, about to bloom in yellow catkins. My voice breaks with the blight of beauty, at the love I see before me. Beneath long feathery branches over moonstone roots, a couple ties the knot, hand fasting at a distance. They bind their own hands in this ancestral light. Of fertility sighs in this time of pandemic. They speak the vows of their souls in a creation divination that humbles, extols. My body holds back tears as I wed them from afar, and I am struck by the closeness of their hearts. The first real day of spring. They are beaming global ghosts into dancing light. It swirls around them, and the word corona returns to its original meaning, aurora borealis, solar soma overhead. Their light is likened to a crown. And I say to them, you may kiss with joy. I guess I might add that I've been doing ceremonial work for quite a number of years now in the realm of death doula and in the realm of marriage celebrant and in the realm of other things. So when I mention the marriages, I've married a lot of people, in case you're wondering, hundreds. So that's the other thing I love to do. I should also probably mention that I live half the time now in Vancouver, and I have a little studio here. So I've been going back and forth from Calgary to Vancouver with my little dog, Willow. And then I wanted to read this because of Earth Day. And I wanted to mention, it's not just the Japanese that consider the fifth element to be wind. The pagans have always considered the fifth element to be aether, and that aether can also be transcribed into spirit. And the spirit has been mentioned by the Celts and many other cultures throughout history. It just got perhaps left behind with Christianity. The old and ancient religions mostly observe the fifth element, aether. I think there might be other ones as well that we haven't quite discovered yet. And so there's always that possibility of things being told to us and limiting our minds and perceptions of what the possibilities of what we might see and be are. This I wrote in 2016, and it was published in a book called Book of Sensations, which U of C Press published. And I keep on stalling. Usually when I'm rehearsing this poem, I talk to my assistant for about 20 minutes, and she keeps on going, can you just get on with the rehearsal? You're stalling because you don't want to do the poem because it's hard work. And I would rather talk or do almost anything than say this poem. It's so weird laughing at my own jokes. Like, this whole square thing and the corners and the whole freakiness of reading poems and having humor and thinking you're sharing the humor, but then not knowing if the humor's there. And then there's this void and you wonder if you're ever going to get laid again. It's just, it's endless. It's just endless. Anyway, shall I say the poem? Oh, I had come up with this special idea. Let's see here. I'm changing my background. Okay, because I'm having so much fun, I'm gonna show you. This is Vancouver, this is Calgary, and this is the forest. Yeah, in keeping with the forest poem. Forest bathing. Has everybody gone to forest bathe? Yes. Well, I've been forest bathing for a long, long time. And so I thought I'd finally write about it in 2016. No more stalling. Forest bathing. There's more to a forest than trees. Arboreal salamander, red-eyed frog, translucent as glass, whippoorwill, chickadee, hornbill, toucan, hummingbird, yellow-bellied sapsucker, acorn, woodpecker, sharp-eyed fox. There's more to a forest than trees. Scarlet tanager, buttercup solitaire, chameleon, chipmunk, gray wolf, deer, flying dragon, lizard lord, iguana, dreamflower, newt, rattlebone, white stag, weevil. There's more to a forest than trees. Laughing owl, hoot, hoot, omen rabbit, ladybug, black cat skull, skeleton bone, low-shoe turtle shell, orangutan, bonobo, all alone in lingo, bluebell, bluebell, bird cherry, bird cherry. There's more to a forest than trees. Orb weaver, spider, fungi, moss, monarch butterfly, beetle, honeybee, earwig, ant, kinnick, foliage bug, lunatic, gypsy moth, pseudo centipede. Call me damselfly in distress, because I'm a wildlife worshiping zotic mistress, a tree hugging temptress, hemptress. It's all arborolatry to me. There's more to a forest than a tree. There's more to a forest than a tree. I stand in arbor amor, in reverie. I deify all creatures in trees. The whole tree ecology, really. I can't just idolize one tree, must praise the whole arboricolous. Down on my knees, up from my root, I pray to trees and meditate, and the trees speak to me and sing. In the wild of the wheeled, open, wide world, the woods are quiet, but never silent. I cross over unfurled and turn into a full-bodied dendrophile. Daphne, Daphne, the wind blows that curious way up my bark, exclamation mark, I beseech you. Allow me to wade in the wilderness of you, dip into your fertile earth, and there let me bathe in your girth, your grass, your sage, dear glade. Feel the ring of 1,000 lifetimes in every line as you turn my page. Voices and music wed, tingling porcupines up my spine, all quill and musk, nothing left unsaid by your erogenous breeze. If this be treegasm, please. Cum, 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 draconid, draconid. Cum, 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 draconid, draconid. Let us breathe together and slow. All Ogham shadow in harmony from floor to canopy. Take me as I take you the way you are. Humanity's pheromone labyrinth, please. Splash me with old growth ecology in the deep sigh of phytoncide. Slowly immerse my entire being deep inside till there's no line between you and I. Merge and submerge in each other's eyes. We don't disappear, but stay here in the catharsis of true nature. Cum, 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 draconid, draconid. Cum, 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 draconid, draconid. You are every book I've ever read. You are every sound I've ever said. I've stood in a stand of many of you trees, and I've taken a stand for your mysteries. I've slept in groves of ancient oak and dreamed lost sensations awake till I woke. I've danced among trembling giants. It is told all 47,000 aspen trees in the grove share a single root. And when we breathe quaking aspens 80,000 years old in a breath of a billion leaves, in a breath of a billion leaves. In grief, I've been held in the arms of the hallowed roots beneath Gog and Magog among mists of Avalon. I've made love against the moss of Carmana to belong to the cathedral chant of peace. And I have overheard Arbutus scream as she peeled back her bark and sang in a high-pitched cry, source of essence phosphorescent. I have seen the tears of the tree of joy and rapture, a deep song, sorrow I cannot capture unless I separate myself from knowing I am human. As I long to belong to tree, bone and bole and bark and branch, in a shower of blazing stars, draconid. I've wandered, perambulated botanical bohemian through pines and firs and cedars and cypress, in the shivlight of olive, willow, ash, ginkgo, and yew, of Bodhi, baobab, redwood, rowan, and blue birch, as they died and as they grew in my search, my endless search for cum, 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 draconid, draconid. A forest takes centuries. There's more to a forest than trees. We plant, we breathe because of trees. We plant, we breathe because of trees. We plant, we breathe because of trees. It takes centuries. It takes centuries. Eco, echo, eco, echo, eco, echo, eco, echo, eco, echo, eco, echo. It takes centuries for a tree to know, to speak, to listen, Ogham. Eco echo, eco echo, eco echo, eco echo, Yoraboris, 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 Yoraboris. When I finally returned to the forest, where I learned to love so long ago, the forest was gone, and all I heard was a hollow echo, wind. Everything else had died, and I realized there was nowhere to run. We have nowhere to hide. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry.
That was brilliant, Sheri-D. And I think you took us all through a million different elements, feelings, thoughts, and then the way you ended it was perfect and saddening and disheartening. And did you write that in 2016?
Yes, I wrote that in 2016, although I've written about the forest for about 35 years because it's been one of the true, I guess, what you call true loves of my life. And well, I like other things too. I like the ocean. And so I've written a lot about the forest. But in 2016, I wrote that piece. And it brings me great sadness, and it brings me I grieve what has happened to our beauty, and what continues to happen to the beautiful places that give us life, that have continued to get desiccated by greed, and so I also have recently been fighting the coal mines that are being proposed in Alberta, and have written about that desiccation of the mountains and the mountaintops. And, you know, being that people that love mountains as well love to climb to tops of mountains, but if there is no top, there is no one or nowhere to climb. It's the most profound things that are happening, and the mine that's happening in BC as we speak. And so yes, I write a lot about these things that break my heart.
And you said you've been writing about them for about 35 years. How has those poems changed? Like if you were to write the poem you just read in 2016 now, would you make any changes to it to fit what's happening now?
I read it to people I think that will hear it, and I read simpler poems for people that I don't feel could hear the complexities in this. But I knew that you were all listeners because I came and listened last month, and so I decided I would share that with you because I thought that you could hear it. And often I'll write more simple poems for people that don't have the ears.
Mm-hmm. And yeah, you know, it's interesting that we talk about the mines in Alberta and BC, and then if we consider all the mines that are just overtaking some of the third world countries, you know, forever, it's unbelievable. And the chances of different people being able to have forest bathing or what have you. So thanks for that and bringing it back to the Earth Day tomorrow. It's been a great connection with all the other poets. Thank you. Sheri-D, do you have any last, any other things you'd like to tell us about?
The process that I have in my writing is that I write every day, all day. That's my process. And in all of that writing, once in a while, one or two things come up that are good or that I think are good. And, but I write a huge amount. I'm right now writing an epic poem that's 257 pages long about healing. And it's this epic poem. These precision oncologists asked me to write a special poem about precision oncology. And I started writing it a few years ago and I couldn't stop. And I'm still finishing up that for those precision oncologists. They're going to be awfully surprised. I think they just wanted a one-page poem. That's what I delivered at their little thing, but I said, I'm going to keep on going. And they were like, yeah. I think they thought I was joking, but I couldn't stop. So anyway, I'm almost finished that poem now.
That must be, if you're writing about oncology, that could have, I'm sure it's ups and downs and dark moments as well.
Well, you know, it's individualized medicine, and there's a few things that I think the oncologist could learn from the poets. So I'm kind of filling them in about which way we can go with medicine. And the paraphysicians should be talking to the physicians, should be talking to the eco people. Like everybody should be talking together instead of these little segregated groups. And so my idea is to get more people talking about these things that really must be shared. Yeah.
Thank you. Good answer. And then how do you reconcile the hype, the hyperbole, and the hope?
The hyperbole.
And the
How
hope.
do you? Oh, I don't have any hope whatsoever. I'm afraid there are people that do have hope. I've learned that hope is a completely hopeless word and is completely meaningless in this world. And I work a lot with people who I think transition is a good thing to learn, and there's all sorts of things to learn that are more important than hope. And I think honesty and truth is a very good approach. Instead of being hopeful just for the sake of being hopeful, because I think that's fake hope. And you know, and people make up these things. Well, we'll hope for this and we'll hope for that. And it's like, are you joking with me? Why not actually speak the truth and stop making things sound good for everyone else, and so they can feel like nice softness in their hearts and go on with their happiness. Because to me, the happiness is fake as well. And I think the real truth can bring us back to the earth and bring us to a place where we can actually talk meaningfully about these things without the hyperbole of hope. And I'm a positive person, by the way. I'm not a doom and gloomer like lots of people like me. I have friends, but I sound really like doom and gloomy. I'm sorry about that. But the truth is, I like the bottom line, and I like to proceed with truth and with integrity. And I'll leave the hope to the hopeless.
Well said. Integrity is important, and I think you've surprised a few of our listeners with your take on hope. And but it's also well said, and it hits a little moment with me when I wonder if hope is worth it. But yeah, okay.
I guess I need to really spend some time considering that a bit more as well. Though that's my first impression of it right now. I think perhaps I'm also angry about my father going to spirit, and when I'm not angry that he went to spirit, I'm unhappy by, you know, people say, well, we have hope that he will live, and you go, what are you talking about? Like hope, hope for what? Is that life? And I started at that time being very negative about hope. And then also I do a lot of eco activism, and everybody was talking about how to make things acceptable for people so that they would care about the environment, and we can make it nice for them so they can care. And I was like, no, this is a time that truth is more important than giving people a cushy fall place. And this is a time to speak the truth. And the poets, the writers, the people that speak about the ecology need to speak the truth, and not say, oh, let's hope there isn't a mine. It's like, no, there cannot be a mine, and this is what it's going to do to our earth. And that's the bottom line. And no niceness anymore. No more Mrs. Nice Poet. And so I got them all riled up. The eco people writing speeches that were real instead of making it hopeful. And you know, when I talked to David Suzuki 30 years ago, I was having a conversation with him, and he said then, there is no hope. The only hope that you can do is take your children to the forest and introduce them to the world now, and let them experience it, and tell them to remember, because it won't be there anymore. And same with, you know, what's his name? The anyway, I could rant on and rave, and I don't want to ruin your night, everyone. It's been such a nice night, so I'll leave it like that.
No, you are enlivening the night, and it's great to hear truth rather than fake hope, Sheri-D. Thank you very much.